Give me blood and I will give you freedom.
When we think about India's freedom struggle, we usually imagine united India fighting against the British Empire. Of course, that was the case. But after reading The Indian Struggle by Subhas Chandra Bose, I realized something which I had not appreciated before. The biggest political battles were not always between the Indians and the British. Many of them were happening within the Indian National Congress itself. Gandhi disagreed with C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru disagreed with Gandhi, Jawaharlal Nehru pushed ideas which were resisted by the senior leaders, and Bose himself challenged Gandhi on some of the movement's biggest decisions. Yet, despite all of these disagreements, they were moving towards a single goal, that is independence. And that's what makes this book fascinating. The Indian Struggle 1920 to 1934 was written by Subhas Chandra Bose. This is the first volume where he writes about Indian freedom struggle movement. There is a second volume from 1935 to 1942. But this video is only about the first part. This is not an autobiography, nor is it a conventional history book. This is Bose looking at one of the most important periods in India's freedom struggle. That is from Gandhi's rise to Civil Disobedience Movement. Because Bose was involved in many of these events, you need to know that this is his political reflection written from his own perspective. The part I found most interesting was Bose's view on Gandhi. Today, Gandhi and Bose are seen as complete opposites. But Bose's own writing paints a much more complicated picture. Bose admired Gandhi. In fact, he believed that no other leader could have transformed Congress into a genuine mass movement. Millions of ordinary people entered politics just because of Gandhi, and Bose never denied that. Where they disagreed was the strategy. Bose believed that Gandhi had a habit of withdrawing movements just when they were becoming most effective. His biggest example is the non-cooperation movement. After the Chauri Chaura incident in 1922, Gandhi called off the movement just because he believed that this incident had compromised the moral standards. Bose thought that this was a disastrous mistake, and he famously described this decision as nothing short of national calamity. What's remarkable is that Bose never turns this into a personal attack. He criticizes Gandhi's decision, not his character. That distinction is something many modern political discussions could learn from. This brings us to what I think is the biggest takeaway from the entire book. Congress was never an organization where everyone agreed. It was a coalition of competing ideas. Within it were different factions, each with its own vision for how freedom struggle should proceed. C.R. Das and Motilal Nehru founded the Swaraj party, arguing that leaders should enter the Legislative Council and obstruct British rule from within. Others remained with Gandhi's strategy of non-cooperation to obstruct British rule from without. By the late 1920s and early 1930s, younger leaders like Subhas Chandra Bose and Jawaharlal Nehru were pushing Congress further to the left. They were advocating complete independence and giving more attention towards workers, peasants, and economic planning. Later, these ideas would find its organized expression in the Congress socialist movement. These were not just personality clashes. They reflected different political philosophies. Even the meaning of Swaraj was not settled. For some leaders, it was dominion status under British Empire, and for others like Subhas Chandra Bose, it meant complete independence. It was only after the Lahore session 1929, Congress adopted Purna Swaraj as its goal. Reading Bose makes you realize that Indian freedom struggle was not only about defeating the British rule. It was about deciding what kind of a nation India would become afterward. There was not one roadmap to independence. There were multiple visions competing at the same time. What surprised me most was not Bose's criticism of Gandhi. I expected that. What surprised me was the amount of respect that remained despite of profound disagreement. Reading this book reminded me that democratic debate inside Congress existed long before India's independence. People argued, sometimes publicly, sometimes intensely, but they kept working together. And maybe that's the biggest lesson this book offers. Unity does not require uniformity. People can disagree about the method while remaining committed to the same objective. That idea feels relevant today, just as it did a century ago. Hey guys, thank you for watching my videos. And if you're interested in such topics, please do subscribe my channel. And for my next video, I'm thinking to read Why I Am an Atheist by Bhagat Singh. It's not a book, it's a small article. And I think it's going to be interesting.